This is the Manual for Teachers, second chapter. Who are their pupils? Certain pupils have been assigned to each of God's teachers, and they will begin to look for him as soon as he has answered the call, as soon as the teacher has answered the call. They were chosen for him because the form of the universal curriculum that he will teach is best for them in view of their level of understanding. It's a good match. His pupils have actually been waiting for him, for his coming is certain. Again, it is only a matter of time. Once he has chosen to fulfill his role, they are ready to fulfill theirs. Time waits on his choice, but not whom he will serve. Interesting. A bit of predetermined or pre-chosen. When he is ready to learn, the opportunities to teach will be provided for him. So when the teacher is ready to learn, because we always learn by teaching, like earlier on, to know peace, teach peace, and therefore learn it. In order to understand the teaching-learning plan of salvation, it is necessary to grasp the concept of time, which the course sets forth. Atonement corrects illusions, not the truth. Therefore, it corrects what never was. Further, the plan for this correction was established and completed simultaneously, for the will of God is entirely apart from time. So is all reality, being of him. God does not exist in time. That's our misperception. The instant the idea of separation entered the mind of God's Son, in that same instant was God's answer given, reference to the Holy Spirit or the voice for God. In time, this happened very long ago. In reality, it never happened at all. God can't see us the way we see ourselves. That would be to justify how we see ourselves, which is not possible for God. The world of time is the world of illusion. There it is. What happened long ago seems to be happening now. Choices made long since appear to be open, yet to be made. What has been learned and understood what has been learned and understood and long ago passed by is looked upon as a new thought, a fresh idea, a different approach. Because your will is free, you can accept what has already happened at any time you choose, and only then will you realize that it was always there. Or you can choose to see illusion in time. So free will is still in there. It's not really desirable. As the Course emphasizes, you are not free to choose the curriculum, meaning you're not free to choose whether or not you can be a part of God. Otherwise, you'd be able to usurp God's power, and then he wouldn't be God, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So you are not free to choose the curriculum or even the form in which you will learn it. Well, the path back is established by the voice for God, the Holy Spirit, whatever it is. You are free, however, to decide when you want to learn it. You always can exercise your will to be separate, which we do sometimes. And as you accept it, it is already learned. So you are free to, however, to decide when you want to learn it, when you want to remember that you're God's Son. So as you accept it, it is already learned. It's already true. That's what knowledge is. Time really then goes backward to an instant so ancient that it is beyond all memory and past even the possibility of remembering. Yet because it is an instant that is relived again and again and still again, the separation, seeing yourself as creator of God or separate from God. It's just so there's fear of the ego, either one of those. So choosing to misperceive is the same thing, and it's just relived over and over again. So yet because it is an instant that is relived again and again and still again, it seems to be now. And thus it is that pupil and teacher seem to come together in the present, finding each other as if they had not met before. What's to say about that? We choose our teachers. We choose those that we can learn from. The pupil comes at the right time to the right place. We've all had that, like, oh, it's weird that we met, and this is so perfect. Yeah, it's totally coincident. This is inevitable because he made the right choice in that ancient instant, which he now relives. So in the separation, the voice for God, the path of atonement, or whatever it is, when everything comes back together, all this was laid out. We made the decision of who we're going to work it out with because that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. It's not that important. Just is. So has the teacher too made an inevitable choice out of an ancient past. God's will in everything, but seems to take time in the working out. What could delay the power of eternity? What relevance is time? When pupil and teacher come together, a teaching-learning situation begins. For the teacher is not really the one who does the teaching. That'd be the voice for God. God's teacher, that capital teacher, so that's voice for God. Jesus is involved in that, or he helps bring the voice for God to the teacher, who then helps to bring it to the pupil. So God's teacher speaks to any two who join for learning purposes. A great reference to Alcoholics Anonymous. It's this whenever two alcoholics are gathered, that's an AA meeting, or whenever it's a Jesus. Somewhere in the Bible, right? I'm not going to get into that, but it's whenever two are gathered in my name, there I am. The relationship is holy because of that purpose, and God has promised to send His Spirit into any holy relationship. In the teaching-learning situation, each one learns that giving and receiving are the same. The demarcations they have drawn between their roles, their minds, their bodies, their needs, their interests, and all the differences they thought separated them from one another fade and grow dim and disappear. My favorite is having a conversation with someone and you're not even looking at them. You're just sitting side by side and you're talking and an hour goes by or 2 hours goes by. And you can't even picture their body anymore. It's just this communication of mind, of spirit. So all these demarcations, they just go away and you recognize spirit in each other. The voice for God, the Holy Spirit, atonement, all that stuff, all at one. So those who would learn the same course share one interest and one goal. And thus he who was the learner becomes a teacher of God himself. So the pupil, and I do that because it's like the teacher, the pupil, they're one and the same. There's one is not any different than the other. Jesus is the same thing in here. He says, you do not kneel before me, I kneel beside you before God. Teacher, pupil. And thus he who was the learner becomes a teacher of God himself, for he has made the one decision that gave his teacher to him. He has seen in another person the same interests as his own, which was, the chapter. Who are God's teachers? That was chapter 1, right? So it's someone who decides to be. And so now the quote-unquote pupil is now the teacher.